Hey, Guy Powell here, and welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on Marketing and AI. And if you haven't already done so, please visit prorelevant.com and sign up for all of these episodes and podcasts. I am the author of the recently released book, The Post-COVID Marketing Machine, but more importantly, I'm in the middle of writing a new book, which is going to be on AI and marketing, and tentative title is Marketing and AI Marketing Machine. And you'll be able to find out more about this at marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. Today, marketers, whether they're with a small business, a medium-sized business, or a large business, AI is kind of like the spreadsheet was to accountants. It is enhancing, it's amplifying, it's multiplying, and improving just about everything that they're doing. And CMOs and VPs of marketing are really trying to ride that bull to make sure that they can take best of advantage of it and do it before the competition does and do it better than the competition. So today I'm interviewing Jim Matuga of Interaction Media. And let me tell you a little bit about Jim. He is an innovative entrepreneur and founder of Interaction Media, and he is the driving force behind Storymaker. And Storymaker is a cutting-edge SaaS application designed to revolutionize the way businesses craft and share their brand narratives. With a good understanding of the power of storytelling in marketing, Matuga developed Storymaker to empower companies to create compelling stories that resonate with their target audiences. The software uses generative AI and their brand story process, allowing users to generate engaging marketing content effortlessly. What could be better than that is telling great stories. Jim, so good to have you. Welcome.
Yeah, Guy, thanks again. I appreciate you and everything you're doing in the marketing space.
So, Jim, you've built this software product called Storymaker. Tell us your backstory on marketing and AI.
Sure. Well, I guess the probably the best place to start with, Guy, is the problem. And I believe that good entrepreneurs, not necessarily great, but good entrepreneurs find a problem that they want to solve. In my case, I actually fell in love with a problem that I saw time and time again. And that was that a lot of times business owners, entrepreneurs, small, mid-sized companies, legacy companies and startups, oftentimes they struggle with the words to describe what they do. They meet somebody at a cocktail party, for instance. What do you do? And they, stammer about. I've interviewed literally thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs during my career, especially I have a podcast as well. And focusing on small and mid-sized companies and even nonprofit organizations, and they all succumb to it. It's sad and it breaks my heart, and that's why I fell in love with that problem. And so I started thinking about this in 2022, like how can we, use some of this technology that's going to be coming down the pike and leverage our marketing story capabilities and our process. We call it, our brand story process, kind of modeled after Donald Miller's The Story Brand, but we've been doing it for, 14 years now. And so, the idea was take that process and utilize generative AI to formulate a database about the business. I don't know if everybody, all of your listeners can relate to this or not, but one of the challenges with like a Chat GPT 4.0 even is coming up with the right prompt. You could type something in like you would a Google search or something, and you'll get some decent results, but to have to keep refining that and really dialing in on your prompt, that's one of the biggest challenges. So I said, well, this is November of 2022, just as ChatGPT was, the first iteration was coming out from OpenAI. And I had this concept, what if we could do that? And just so happened, it timed out that I'm located in Morgantown, West Virginia, the home of West Virginia University, and our John Chambers College of Business and Economics had a little a cohort. They were going to try to start up 10 SaaS applications in 10 weeks. And I was chosen to be one of the 10 with this idea that I had. And so I got to work starting in January, and by mid-February, we had a minimally viable product, a SaaS application, an MVP. And we were able to, I'll never forget the very first time that we tried, I built a little database of about my business. I had a couple of drop down menus that to prompt folks to answer, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to say? And I said, I want to make a 30-second pitch for my company, Interaction Media. I hit the, make my story button. And 10 seconds later, there was a 30-second pitch that was eloquent, perfect. It began with the customer in mind. It told a story and a framework that was not just a way to communicate, but it actually could connect with somebody. What I was reading, there was about 30 of folks on the call that day. We all couldn't believe what we had just seen. Like, we used this database to pull and create a perfect prompt to create a 30-second pitch for my company using AI in ChatGPT. And it was amazing. And so obviously that spun up pretty quick. And on May 1st of 2023, so just last year, we hit the ground running with Storymaker. At the time, was one of the first generative AI marketing software apps. Now, there's a lot out there now. The market's kind of flooded, but we were one of the first, and we're still selling subscriptions every day. We have hundreds of customers across the country, and it's doing very well. And we're constantly upgrading it. So the point about all that, Guy, is that that's the backstory. We saw a problem that we fell in love. We're marketers ourselves. We're not necessarily just a tech company, although now we are. But at the time, we were marketers, and we said there's got to be a better way to create content for small business, mid-sized companies, and nonprofit organizations on the fly, instantly, and just do it unlimited, limitlessly. And so
Mm.
that's what we're doing.
That is a, great story, and yeah, I like the concept. And you're so right. So many times you hear somebody fumbling around about trying to tell, what is your elevator pitch,
Yeah.
and it's very difficult for a lot of people, and being able to do that very quickly. I remember I was over in China once, and I was talking to a bunch of marketers, training them actually, and I said, so what would you tell if you were in the elevator and the CEO of your company came on, and he said, tell me what you do. Yeah, and so I asked that to this one woman, and she says, well, I get off the elevator right away. So I wouldn't have to do that elevator pitch.
Good. I
But
like that. Yeah.
yeah, it is pretty good. So anyway, there is a lot of fear out there, and it may already be taking place that AI is going to be putting a lot of marketing people out of business. What do you think about that?
Well, I can relate to that. When I was working on this project in 2023, I had, half of my team was in fear. They were like, "What's Jim working on?" Like, I've got, a small company here in West Virginia. We got 10 of us, and most of the folks were like, "What's going on?" And so my vice president came and said, "Hey, you got to address this. You got to talk to people. Like, we're not doing this to put people out of work." And so I could relate to that. I think, from a marketing standpoint, or even a content development, because that's really the space that I know. I think that it has a potential to displace people, and that's why I kind of urge people to adopt technology, no matter if it's generative AI or Storymaker or whatever you're talking about. I mean, there's stuff that's coming. Our company specializes in video production. We do a ton of video. Probably half of our revenue comes from video related projects. And the thing about that is there's some fantastic AI video marketing tools out there right now. We're actually utilizing AI for voiceover. I mean, who would have thought, 2 years ago, I would have said that sentence right there, but it's amazing. And what it's doing, Guy, I think, is just exponentially speeding up the process with which we can create content, marketing content. And that's, content is king. We've heard about that forever. And that is true. But the way that you create content has to be more than just communicate. And I always talk about this. I may have mentioned it, a minute ago, but I like content, and I live for content that connects with people, not just communicates. everybody wants, to communicate, but I find that if you can really connect with customers, that's the secret sauce. And so how do you do that? How do you, leverage, technology to do that? Well, metrics, analytics. I mean, it's so powerful what we can do today. You know, and I know you know this guy, but the analytics that we have today, and the way with which we're able to look at digital campaigns or social media campaigns, or even to some degree, traditional now is getting in on that. And I forged my career in the media business. I've been working in this space since 1988, so 36 some years. And I remember when I first started, I would call on local businesses, and they would say, if you could tell me where, I know half of my advertising dollars are wasted. If you could tell me how, where that is, I'll spend all my money with you. And we always were waiting for that algorithm, those mechanisms, if you will, to be able to measure, the effectiveness of our ad spend. And man, it is so awesome today how we can do that. And then
Yeah.
you can that's very appropriate for the content too. So we talk about A/B tests. I like ABCDE tests. I mean, multiple tests going, because you don't want to just compare one or two messages. That why not have 6 or 7 to see what's going to resonate and connect with people.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly what we do for medium and large companies is measure that the media effectiveness
And you do it
um,
with, you know.
and it's a big deal, and getting the analytics, and that's also one of the challenges. So we do analytics and marketing. It sounds like just like you are. And now getting into the generative AI, which is more about text and content and images and even videos,
Yeah. And
and
voice.
it's changing everybody's world. So so tell us, how do you see AI being used for good out there?
Yeah, that's my mantra right there, is AI for good, because there's a lot of things that can be used for, in a negative way, nefarious, evil, and we're trying to, beat the drum for good. In marketing, like I said, I think it's just rapidly, exponentially speeding up the process to create good ideas. And even I use it AI and generative AI, and I use Storymaker every day, from everything to reply to an email, right?
Mm.
You get that email that comes across, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is going to take me 30 minutes just to think this through, right? 4 questions. And you can get a pretty rough draft in about 10 seconds, just using an email AI responder. Like, Storymaker has that built in, but there's others too. But those types of things to me are really fascinating. I love utilizing generative AI for idea generation, rather than, and you're seeing this right now with the behemoths like Google, for instance, and Alphabet. The older demographics are still using Google, but all the young people are going to generative AI like ChatGPT for their queries, because it's so much more rich. It's way more. It's a search engine, obviously, but it's way more than that. I mean, you're
Yeah.
getting, and it's pulling. I feel like that right now it's a pretty cool time, because it's kind of like unrestricted. It's like the Wild West, right? And so I still think you have to fact check things, and I've noticed that very important thing, that you have to still verify and make sure that the information you're putting out there is accurate. Don't just trust the AI.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Others may be like, no, it's perfect, but I think, like, I want to fact check things and fact check myself. So I think that's one of the downfalls. But how do you use it for good? I think I've given you a couple of examples right there, but I think that that's my thing, is that, embrace it, use it, experiment with it. It's part of our life now. I
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
had a family member that went to had an endoscopy procedure just this past week, and it was funny because right at the top it said part of this report is written by artificial intelligence, and they put it right on a healthcare procedure. And I thought that was really amazing. That docs and physicians, surgeons now, they're healthcare professionals. They're embracing it, And I think it's going to help, whether we're getting that redundancy of, follow up and checking and making sure that this diagnosis is right, or making sure that the content we're putting out there is accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you bring up a couple of interesting things. One of the things, you talk about search and the young folks now moving away from Google search to get over to just using, AI to do the information gathering. And Google, I think, is already finding their revenue is actually their paid search revenue is actually leveling off, and now it looks like it's tending downward.
Yep.
And they have AI right at the top. And I will admit, when I do a search in Google, I get that AI response there. And that's usually enough for me to get what I want to do. Now, I haven't necessarily asked questions very frequently with ChatGPT, but certainly I've done it a couple of times, and you get a longer answer, and it's actually, pretty good as well. But I've been amazed that, I've been able to get my answers out of that AI assistant that Google has, and then you don't see any of the paid ads.
Yeah.
And so, you can see just from that how Google's gonna suffer there.
I mean, just write this down. We're in December 2024, and I mean, this is going to revolutionize things fast. I mean, we're going to see a fallout from this. I believe. I mean, Google is the number one global advertising company on the planet. I mean, it's just amazing, right? And their stronghold is going to be broken. There's no doubt. I feel, and I don't think they can catch up now. The horse is out of the barn. Just to give you an example, like you were talking about, how can we use AI for good? Like you, I'm writing a book as well. This might be my third work that I'm working on, and I have the manuscript, and I took the document, I created a PDF, and I dropped it in ChatGPT 4.0 a couple of nights ago, and I just said, please review this book and give me the overview of success, who the target market should be, maybe some publishers that I should be talking to. And literally, it was 30 seconds, and it had the entire book. They had it broken down. They had a publisher's pitch for me. How else on the planet is that possible than with artificial intelligence?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and because I'm gonna, my book is on marketing and AI, so I'm gonna absolutely use AI to help write it. And I'm still in the interview process, and some of these interviews are going to be a big piece of that.
Mm.
And but I'm also interviewing on the client side, and AI it's going to be amazing. I mean, instead of when I wrote my first book, it took me almost 2 years, and I haven't gotten it down less than 18 months. And now with AI, I think I can get the writing process down, within maybe a month or two. I think in a concentrated weekend or a couple of weekends, I can probably get 90%, 95% of the content done. And that right there is just it's just incredible. And to your point about what you can use, Chat GPT or Claude to get for you is pretty amazing. It's so funny too. You brought up, marketing AI for good. Some people think that Google is kind of a monopoly, and to some extent it is. But the government now, they're trying to break up Google and split off Chrome and whatever. It's already too late. The AI is coming in. It's not. I mean, they're embracing it certainly, but the whole market has changed by the time they even get anywhere near it. The market is totally different. It's it doesn't make any sense to break them up anymore.
What a time to be alive. I mean, it is awesome. I mean, the speed with which things are happening in technology are they're mind blowing. And I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, I graduated college in 1988, and so I've gotten to see some pretty amazing things. But the last 2 years have been really something else in
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about AI and technology and delivering significantly more effective. Maybe they're not more effective, although I tend to think they are. Certainly more messages and being able to get, your complete story out there. Let's talk about that. So how do you see then technology, moving from where we are today to maybe the next couple of years?
Yeah. So I think again, the ease of generating content, written text, and other things are coming down the pike too with images, from the perspective of like I think of a small operator of like a small business, maybe 100 employees or three or 400 employees to a mid-sized company or even a large nonprofit organization. They know that they have to generate content and they have to do it frequently, but it becomes a burden sometimes, especially if there's not a dedicated person or a marketing team. Oftentimes they're pulled in different directions, but with artificial intelligence and the ability to use generative AI, putting out marketing content, whether it's on social media or email campaigns, or even anything like a radio commercial, traditional traditional media. You can write a script in just a few seconds and have
Yep.
something to start with. It doesn't take you all day to write a script. And so I think that those are the types of things, the speed and the creativity. The other thing that I think is very powerful, and we've baked this into StoryMaker's algorithm as well, is the ability to not only learn your tone of voice, your business tone of voice, but it also you can experiment with tones of voice. Like for instance, on StoryMaker, we have curated 15 different tones of voice, things like authoritative and empathetic, or professional, humorous, those kinds of things. So you could have like different, you could have a whimsical, tone to an email for more of a lighthearted subject, and you can do that with just a couple of drop down menus. Actually, just tone of voice, you could type it in, custom prompt it. We have a guy, he's a home inspector. He's a very heavy user of StoryMaker, and he likes to tell the story that he likes to do his social media posts in the voice of Snoop Dogg. So it's just kind of funny, but I don't know why he does it, but he thinks it's cool. But the point is, you could create content based on, if you wanted to talk in the voice of a fifth grader, you can include that as part of your prompt, and it'll dumb it down, so to speak, to that fifth grade level. If you want to speak to a doctorate degree in psychology level, you can also do that, and it'll write it based on your query and your prompt. So I think it just opens up so much opportunity. And one of the things that I didn't mention, guys, that I'm actually a trained writer, and I love generative AI. I got my degree in journalism, advertising, from West Virginia University, and so I love to write. But I love this new tool of generative AI to help me, get that creativity flowing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it makes such a difference. And you're as a trained writer, and now with a couple books under your belt, and it sounds like your third one is almost there as well. It's pretty impressive. And being a trained writer, that certainly can make a difference. So,
Sorry about
last question here. The one of the big challenges I think that AI has, when we talked about this early on, is in marketing, in as being a marketer, is whether your job is safe in AI, or how you can save your job or keep your job or improve your job. But what do you think about a new and upcoming marketer? What advice would you give them as they're just entering the market?
Yeah. The fundamentals never change in marketing. It's talking to the right people at the right time with the right message. And so if you understand that and have a basis on the fundamentals, I think that's very important. But the other thing is, I think is, and kind of we've been the common theme here is, accept artificial intelligence, experiment with it, adopt, embrace it. Don't fight it. And trying to figure out, if you could become and leverage yourself as an expert in artificial intelligence, generative AI, and writing and marketing, that's going to be the complete package. And so that's what I would argue, is that the fundamentals are never going to change, but they're now we can use these tools, these tech tools, to really make our jobs easier, faster, more creative.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I'd say it was maybe a year ago. Well, I don't know. Whenever like Chat GPT first really popped on the stage, I was
That was
talking to,
yeah, November 22 is when that
yeah,
was.
yeah. So, and I was talking to some teachers, and they were saying, no, we can't allow kids to use it. And within about 6 months of me using it, I'm saying, if you don't let your kids learn how to use ChatGPT, they will not be able to get a job or whatever AI it was.
That's right.
And I was out at a conference, and and we had some, like, work groups, and I was at one of them, and I talked about that, and they had definitely changed over their whole teaching at this college, this conference in marketing and conference in a college, and where they said, "Yep, you can use whatever you want." And by the way, though, if you give me a piece of writing that is not grammatically correct, I will not accept it. I'll just, I'll throw it out because you didn't use ChatGPT to fix it. And I thought that was a great thing. I mean, here, as a teacher, I remember how bad of a writer I used to be when I was like in high school. And now you can be a perfect writer. And so accepting and receiving something that isn't totally written correctly, you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so now it's the thinking behind how you got there. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I
and
was saying, like the fundamentals. And again, Guy, I don't want to be that guy that like, is old fashioned. But man, that kind of makes me sad a little bit, that we don't have to learn how to write anymore.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's funny. Kids nowadays certainly need to know how to add and multiply, but in reality, they don't need to do it anymore. They can just get a calculator and just put it all in
That's
there,
right.
and they're done. So that part of mathematics is now gone. And
Yeah,
in a similar way, English, you don't need to know how to necessarily write anymore and spell anymore, because you can, have ChatGPT or, AI do all of the grammar and all the writing for you.
exactly.
And and
Yeah,
it,
it's just the same way. I'm an outdoor enthusiast. I love getting out in the woods and hiking, and I rely on my All Trails map, on my iPhone until my battery runs dead, and then I've got to learn. I better know how to read the map, because I'm out in the middle of the woods here in West Virginia. But it is we do rely on technology. It is a wonderful tool, especially as what we're talking about with regard to marketing. But going back to that question, what would I say to somebody getting into marketing? Just know the basics, understand the fundamentals.
yeah, yeah, and I think you're right. It's what's the three things: who's your target, what's the message, and what's the right time, and what's the right
Yeah.
frequency, and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. I
It's
always say
absolutely critical.
marketing is talking to the right people at the right time with the right message.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyway, Jim, this has been perfect. Really appreciate it. Is there anything else you'd like to mention before we go?
No, Guy, I just encourage people to get busy, start embracing generative AI in your marketing. And guys like you, Guy Powell, and your company doing what you do with analytics and marketing, your book, The Marketing Machine. I encourage people to pick that up and check out what Guy's doing. You're doing great things out here. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and really appreciate the plug for my book. And what's the title of your book then?
Well, I have a book called Marketing Matters that's currently available on Amazon. It's about marketing stuff, but my new book is going to be on it's something completely different. I'm flipping the script on leadership, and it's going to be a book on followership. And the kind of the concept is that nobody's really training the followers, And so the title of the book is going to be called Humble Influence: The Strength of Followership. So look for that coming out in 2025.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, definitely. And where can people reach you and your company?
Yeah, my company is Interaction Media, and it's INNERACTIONMEDIA.com. And they can learn about Storymaker there. They can learn about our podcast, Positively West Virginia. And yeah, they can reach out, and my email's on there. If anybody wants to connect, that'd be great.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's interactionmedia.com, interactionmedia.com. Jim, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
And
Guy.
to the audience, please stay tuned for more episodes in the series of the backstory on marketing and AI. And if you'd like to download some excerpts from my recent book, please go to marketingmachine.prorelevant.com, and we'll be posting some stuff about my new book coming up as well. So, Jim, thank you again. Really appreciate it. And for the audience as well, if you like this interview, please rate it with 5 stars. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Guy.